Okay, so standing meditation. Okay. Standing meditation. First of all, we're just going to take our thumbs, pop them in our ears, and trace a line directly up from our ears to the top of our skull. And just create a little pressure on that there, just so you can feel it and you're aware of that point. And you're going to imagine a silk string pulling that point upwards. And then we're going to grab our thumbs. And we're going to trace down just behind our ears. There's two little bumps. And just under those bumps there's a like soft tissue. And we're just going to put our thumbs in there and we're going to pull that upwards. Just gently. And we're going to imagine two silk strings coming out of there, pulling upwards with our third string. And that should create a nice little tug. And then you should let the shoulders hang from that. And now the next thing is to drop down into the tailbone. And we're just going to allow the tailbone to be heavy. And we're going to drop down into the earth. So imagine that off of the tailbone there is a lead weight or an anchor that's pulling down underneath the ground. So we've got this two opposing forces. The silk strings pulling upwards and the lead weight pulling downwards. And just bringing our awareness into our feet. We've got our 3 points of contact. Behind the big toe, behind the little toe, and the heel. Those 3 points of contact we want evenly, like left to right. 50-50 in each foot. 60-40. Just to bring a little bit of awareness to the back of the body, we're just going to bring a little bit more, 60% of the weight into the heel. And then our third important point in the foot is this sort of diaphragm in the middle, the arch of the foot. We're going to kind of like intend for that to pull upwards as the others press down. And then our toes, just going to be like antennas, just feeling the ground in front of us. And so just remembering our silk strings, remembering our anchor pulling our pelvis down. And now just let that pelvis float on our feet as if it's a buoy floating on a lake. Just little adjustments happening all the time. Nothing is locked in. Making sure we have a gentle bend in the knees. And now allow your collarbones to lengthen Imagine your collarbones are growing long. Eyes gazing at the horizon, eyes open. And just being aware of the breath and connecting the top of the breath with the bottom of the breath, never holding it. And on the next exhale, just imagine your scapula, your shoulder blades just melting down your back into your heels. And just feeling that flow of down along the back of the spine. Again, keeping our pelvis dropping down, pulling against the silk strings. Melting down the back like chocolate melting into the floor. And imagine, so that's the side of the spine that you can palpate, that's the side that you get a massage on, the back side of the spine. But there's an inside to the spine as well. The side that touches all your organs that you cannot palpate. This side I want you to imagine from the diaphragms, from the arches of your feet, all the way up the inside of the spine, up into the skull, is an upward movement. And you might want to loosely play with that on the inhale. I don't want to make it dogmatic that one is inhale, one is exhale, but just to get a feel for it. Inhale creates like the lifting, and so we can feel that from the diaphragms of our feet, through the diaphragm of our pelvic floor, the diaphragm in our solar plexus, what we call the diaphragm, up into the throat and up into the head, and then dropping down, melting like chocolate down the back. Drawing up, remembering the opposing forces of the silk strings and the anchored pelvis. Remembering the long collarbones lengthening with each breath. Remembering to let the pelvis float like a buoy on the lake, which will then cause micro adjustments in the feet to help us find a 50-50 in each foot relationship to the pelvis, to the weight of the body. 60-40 heel to toe. opposing forces, skull to pelvis. Up the inside of the spine, down the outside of the spine. Eyes gazing at the horizon, even if you can't see a horizon, just gazing forward where the horizon would be. Relaxing any tension, dropping it into the floor. Just noticing, what's your jaw doing? What are your wrists doing? What are your fingers doing? What are your shoulders doing? And just drop it into the floor, let it melt down the back. Always moving, always adjusting. Knees are soft. Okay. Now, let the fingers go down to come up. So, on an inhale, so down, inhale, reaching up, and relaxing down. Bending the knees, dropping down. Inhale. Reaching up, straightening the body a little bit, and dropping everything down, wiggling it out a little bit. Notice when I come up, I'm not back here. This is blocked in the shoulder. So my arms are forward like I'm holding a giant beach ball. Reaching up and dropping down. One more. Wiggle that out. Wiggling your shoulders, your ankles, your hips. Just dropping all of it. If you did that 5 minutes or 10 minutes every day, I'd love to see the results, see what you'd notice.